Imagine looking up at the night sky and suddenly seeing a nuclear explosion on the moon. This sounds like science fiction, but during the Cold War, the United States seriously considered doing exactly that. The late 1950s were the height of the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a struggle not just on Earth, but in space. When the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, it shocked the world. Suddenly, it seemed like the Soviet Union was winning the space race, and American leaders wanted a dramatic demonstration of power. So the US Air Force quietly began studying a classified proposal. The idea was simple and terrifying. Launch a nuclear missile to the moon, detonate it on the lunar surface. The explosion would be visible from Earth, creating a brilliant flash in the night sky. The message to the world would be unmistakable: American technological and military superiority. The project was called Project A119. Scientists calculated how a nuclear explosion would appear from Earth, and even studied the lunar dust cloud that would follow the blast. Ironically, the research team included some very young scientists, one of whom later became the famous astronomer Carl Sagan. But eventually, the idea was abandoned. Not because it was impossible, but because the risks were enormous. A failed launch could spread radioactive material across Earth, and many scientists worried the explosion would permanently damage the moon. Instead of nuclear explosions, the United States chose a different path: exploration. But here is the twist in this story. The moon did not escape nuclear technology forever. Decades after the United States abandoned the idea of detonating a nuclear bomb on the lunar surface, the nuclear question has returned in a different form, not as a weapon, but as a source of power. Today, NASA is accelerating plans to build a nuclear reactor on the moon by 2030. The goal is not destruction, but the creation of something unprecedented: a permanent human presence on another world. The challenge is simple but brutal. A single lunar day lasts almost 4 weeks on Earth, 2 weeks of relentless sunlight, followed by 2 weeks of total darkness. Solar panels alone cannot sustain a permanent lunar base through those long nights. So scientists believe nuclear power may be the only reliable solution. NASA has asked commercial companies to design a reactor generating 100 kilowatts, enough to power habitats, labs, and future lunar industries. But the science is only half the story. The moon is becoming the next frontier of geopolitics. China and Russia have already announced plans to build their own nuclear-powered lunar base by 2035. Multiple nations including India, Japan, and the United States are racing to establish permanent infrastructure on the lunar surface. Some policymakers worry that future rivals could attempt something extraordinary, declaring strategic zones on the moon. In other words, the moon may one day have territorial influence just like Earth, which means the race to build power systems and bases is not just about science. It is about influence and presence. It is about the future of humanity beyond Earth. The Cold War once brought humanity to the brink of turning the moon into a nuclear target. Today, that same world stands on the edge of transforming it into humanity's next frontier, where science, power, and ambition will decide the future beyond Earth.